Welcome back to the Financial Beanstalk. My name is Nick, and if you haven't seen, AT&T recently had some major news. And they're merging WarnerMedia, which is a ginormous library of content and brand, with the Discovery networks. Now with that comes the news that has everyone riled up, and they're likely going to cut their dividend by half.
You were the chosen one!
Now many people were holding on to AT&T for that sweet 7% dividend yield, and they saw a lot of growth potential with HBO Max. But now that they're merging that with Discovery and they're cutting that dividend by half, is it still worth a hold? Let's take a look. Now none of this is official yet. It still actually has to be approved, and then once it is approved, from what I've seen, it won't go into effect until 2022. But pretty much all the YouTubers that I subscribe to have already sold off their positions because they feel like that money will be better allocated in other stocks. And I get it. Without that dividend, it's been no better than a savings account, with it trading pretty much sideways. But maybe it's the optimist in me, but I'm gonna ride it out and see how it plays out. Here's why. First off, I'm still growing my portfolio, so I only have 9 shares total in AT&T. So it's not a huge position by any means, and I'm not really risking that much by holding on to it. At best, if I had sold near the top, because let's be honest, I wouldn't have been able to time it perfectly, I could have sold for around $32, so I would have made around $30 in gains. At worst, it bottomed out around $28.72, which is 30 cents lower than my average cost, so I lost about $2 on that. It's already recovered a little bit, and at the time of filming this video, it's sitting at $30.02, so I'm still up on my position. Let's address the dividend. While it does suck that it's not 7% anymore, if they do cut it exactly in half, they'll still have a solid 3.5% dividend yield, which is a little bit higher than what I consider a safe dividend yield of 3%. Just to put that into perspective, if you had $1 million invested in AT&T, you'd make $35,000 a year without doing anything. Now that might not make you feel better if you do have $1 million in AT&T going from $70,000 to $35,000, but I'm not there yet, so it doesn't seem so bad to me. I'm really sorry if that happened to you though. A close comparison in my eyes is one of the other major telecommunications companies, Verizon. Ticker symbol VZ. Now Verizon also hasn't done much as far as growth over the last few years, but they do have a solid dividend yield of 4.4%. Given AT&T's history, I could very well see them getting up to around that level as well. And if this dividend cut allows them to grow a little more, Verizon is currently trading at $56.37. If AT&T can get up to that level, that'll be a pretty solid gain for me. And my yield on cost will be really good if I continue to hold on to it. Now my glasses aren't completely rose-colored, and I do realize they're losing their coveted dividend aristocrat status, which does concern me a bit because generally people thought AT&T's dividend was one of the safest ones out there. But now, is anyone safe? One of the other higher yielding dividend stocks that I have, which also has this status, is MO for Altria Group. So I'm not really sure if they'll continue to pay as high as a dividend as they currently are. Other companies could take a look at this AT&T situation and be like, oh, no way, they announced a dividend cut and look at what happened to their stock price. It dropped immediately. Or they could look at it from the other angle and be like, huh, they cut their dividend and it didn't really affect the stock price that much. Maybe we should. So we'll see what happens there. But again, from what I've seen, this won't go into effect until 2022. So I'll still be able to collect that 7% dividend 3 or 4 more times, which is about $4 for me each quarter. I might as well take advantage of that while I still can and reinvest that back into my portfolio, because who knows when another AT&T will be around. Another positive for them is they've been doing a lot recently to try and reduce their debt. they recently sold off part of DirecTV, and now this merger with Discovery gets rid of some of that as well, which has been one of the biggest concerns for a lot of people when it comes to AT&T, which is how much debt they have. But rather than trying to push forward with things that aren't working, they might be selling these things off for a loss, but they're getting rid of that debt so that they can move forward, and hopefully it'll pay off for them. They're trying their best, okay? Now another concern I've seen from people and why they're selling out of AT&T is just with the uncertainty of this new company. There really isn't any information out there about what it's gonna look like other than these two media brands are merging. So a lot of people are taking the approach of get out, take some profits, and we'll see how it plays out once there's more concrete data out there. Really, the reason I'm not selling for this reason is because I'm currently reading You Can Be a Stock Market Genius by Joel Greenblatt, and there's 2 sections in the book that I think kind of relate to this situation. It talks about spin-offs, and then it also talks about mergers and how historically these companies have performed really well after these happen. So let's go through it. Chapter 1. Follow the yellow brick road, then hang a right. Okay, we're not going to go through that, and I'm only halfway through the book anyway, but I encourage you to maybe pick up a copy and look into this further, because so far from what I've read, I see some similarities in this situation. So hopefully it'll pay off. I feel like I've said that a lot. I really do hope this pays off. The small bit of info that we did get about this new company is that T shareholders will own 70% of this new company. So when this merger does go through, some shares in this new company will just show up in my brokerage. My curiosity was piqued enough to continue to hold for this reason as well. It's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none type situation. AT&T did have all of these different verticals, but now they can be solely focused on telecommunications. And with this 5G boom coming, maybe they'll become a master of that. Or maybe they're focusing on this 5G boom so the 5G waves can brainwash us all to love AT&T and they'll become one of the strongest companies out there. So what do you think? Is AT&T still a buy? Or is this the beginning of the end for them? Let me know in the comment section below. Then, go ahead and YouTube mumbo jumbo that subscribe button, that like button, and that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. I truly appreciate you watching, and let's continue to grow this beanstalk. Is diamond handing AT&T a thing, or is that reserved for the meme stocks?